Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're exploring a piece of history that is, honestly, profoundly misunderstood. We're going to look at an ancient text, but not as some dusty relic sitting quietly on a library shelf. Oh no, we are looking at it as a dynamic, razor-sharp intellectual weapon. It's called the Kathāvatthu, and it's a text that literally saved a major world religion from the absolute brink of ideological collapse.
So, did you know that one of the most powerful textbooks on formal logic in human history was written over 2 millennia ago by a Buddhist monk? Okay, let's dive into this. Because when we think of ancient Buddhism, right, we usually picture quiet meditation, peaceful philosophy, maybe chanting. We rarely, if ever, picture rigorous, highly structured, logical warfare. But actually, that is exactly what we are going to uncover today.
Here is a quick look at our roadmap. We'll start with the crisis of faith during Emperor Asoka's era. Look at the birth of the Kathāvatthu, see how ancient logic conquered heresy, step onto the philosophical battlefield, and finally trace this legacy across time.
Section 1. The Crisis of Faith in Emperor Asoka's Era.
You know, there's a profound irony here. Emperor Asoka's legendary financial patronage of Buddhism, it actually almost destroyed the religion from the inside out. Basically, around the 3rd century of the Buddhist era, the monasteries became incredibly wealthy and comfortable. And what happens when there's wealth? Opportunists. People who just wanted a free, easy life completely infiltrated the monkhood. And they didn't just come empty-handed. They brought their own wildly distorted foreign beliefs with them. The core teachings became completely fractured. So to stop the bleeding, they had to urgently convene the Third Buddhist Council at Pataliputra. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of the disaster. It all comes down to one number, 18. The original unified teachings had shattered into 18 competing factions. And get this, each and every one of them claimed to hold the true interpretation of the Buddha's words. I mean, it was absolute ideological chaos.
Section 2. The Birth of the Ultimate Text. The Kathāvatthu.
Okay, to fix a crisis this massive, you don't just need a gentle reminder of the rules, right? You need a systematic, full-blown emergency intervention. So, the Venerable Moggaliputta Tissa was tasked with leading this massive effort. He gathered a huge council of 1,000 highly learned monks. And together, they didn't just have some loose, casual discussion. No, they systematically mapped out 23 chapters of dense argumentation, deliberately dismantling exactly 226 specific heretical arguments. So the Kathāvatthu isn't just a book, it's a comprehensive, bulletproof shield forged to protect those original teachings.
Section 3. Ancient Logic Conquering Heresy.
So how did this shield actually work in practice? Well, the Kathāvatthu didn't just say, hey, you're wrong because I said so. That wouldn't work. Instead, it operated like a highly sophisticated courtroom cross-examination using what we call dialectical logic. Basically, this is a method of testing philosophical consistency through a really rigid, systematic dialogue. It sets up this high-stakes duel between the Sakavati, that's the orthodox Theravāda defender, and the Paravati, the opponent holding the heretical view. They go back and forth, step by step, until the opponent is completely trapped by their own logical inconsistencies.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the direct parallel to modern mathematics. The ancient Buddhist system used this brilliant 3-step trap. First, tapana, which is laying down the opponent's premise. Second, papana, forcing them to accept a logical consequence of that premise. And third, aropana, showing how that consequence completely destroys their original belief. It is literally the exact equivalent of modus tollens in modern logic. You know, if P implies Q and Q is false, then P is false. This ancient monk formulated a flawless deductive framework centuries before Western textbooks ever formalized it. Absolutely mind-blowing.
Section 4. Theravada's Philosophical Battlefield.
Let's step onto the battlefield and look at these rapid-fire skirmishes firsthand. The very first major battle was over the concept of self. The Pāgalavāda sect argued that there simply must be a permanent self or person to experience reincarnation and receive karma. Makes sense on the surface, right? But using that dialectical logic, the Theravāda side systematically proved that a person is merely a linguistic convention. The ultimate reality is anattā, or non-self. If you concede a permanent self, the entire foundation of Buddhist liberation just collapses. So the orthodox stance defended anattā decisively.
Let's move to the next debate and see how this builds, because this logical breakdown extended to the nature of time itself. The Sabbath-Kīkavāda sect made a really bold claim that the past, the present, and the future all exist simultaneously in some form. But the Theravāda side logically cornered them. Think about it. If all times exist constantly, you fall straight into the fallacy of eternalism. You totally contradict the core truth of impermanence. Therefore, the Theravāda firmly established that only the present moment truly exists, constantly arising and passing away instantly based on conditions.
Another absolutely crucial skirmish was the defense of the arhats, the fully enlightened beings. The Mahasanghika sect suggested that arhats might still harbor some ignorance, doubts, or get this, even regress backwards in their spiritual progress. The Kathāvatthu cross-examined this brutally. I mean, if an arhat can regress, then enlightenment isn't really a true escape, is it? The Theravāda established that once the root of ignorance is destroyed by wisdom, it is destroyed completely and forever. Regression is both logically and spiritually impossible.
And then we reach the ultimate metaphysical debate. Various sects tried to elevate concepts like space or the laws of nature to the status of ultimate unconditioned reality. But the Kathāvatthu firmly shut that down. It established that nirvana is the single, 100% unconditioned reality. Everything else, no matter how vast or universal it seems, is conditioned and absolutely subject to cause and effect.
Section 5. A legacy of wisdom across time.
The Kathāvatthu didn't just win a few debates in ancient India and then disappear into obscurity. Not at all. Its rigorous analytical methodology actually became a foundational pillar for Indian epistemology and logical theory. And because it so successfully purified the teachings, this logical, orthodox Theravāda tradition spread. It went to Sri Lanka, moved throughout Southeast Asia, and eventually became the very core framework of the Buddhism practiced in countries like Thailand today. The intellectual DNA of the Kathāvatthu is still incredibly alive and well.
So the crucial point is this. This is exactly why modern scholars refer to this text as a monument of intellect. It's not just a book of arguments. It stands as a timeless testament to the early masters who realized that faith alone just isn't enough to survive. You absolutely must use reason, precise language, and unyielding logic to protect core truths from being diluted, manipulated, or destroyed by bad actors. Which leaves us with this final thought to chew on. We live in an era where information is constantly twisted, right? Where opportunists spread distorted truths and where sects of thought seem to fracture by the minute online. If an ancient monk could use pure, systematic logic to defend the truth over 2,000 years ago, how do you apply logic and reason to protect your own core beliefs in today's world of misinformation? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. And remember, keep questioning everything.